Claire rubbed her eyes. Another sleepless night. Her thesis, ironically, was on sleep deprivation. The pressure was immense. She glanced at the clock. 3 a.m., just a few more hours until her alarm. She tried to focus on her research, but her thoughts drifted into a hazy fog. A flicker of movement at the edge of her vision startled her. She turned quickly, but nothing was there. "Just my imagination," she muttered, her voice raspy from exhaustion. She went back to her work, trying to ignore the growing unease in her gut. The words on the screen swam before her eyes. Another movement, this time closer. A shiver ran down her spine. She spun around, heart pounding, empty again. She was being silly, she told herself. It was just the lack of sleep playing tricks on her mind, but deep down a seed of fear had been planted. Reached her apartment, she was trembling from head to toe. Unable to sleep, Claire found herself drawn to the internet, searching for answers. She stumbled upon countless accounts of the shadow people, shadowy figures often seen lurking in the periphery of vision. The descriptions matched her own experiences eerily. Some theories attributed the phenomenon to sleep paralysis, hallucinations, or even paranormal activity. Each explanation seemed more unsettling than the last. Claire felt a chill run down her spine as she delved deeper into the rabbit hole. The more she read, the more convinced she became that she was not alone. Others had seen these entities, these beings of pure darkness, and their encounters were rarely benign. The thought sent a wave of terror washing over her. Sleep became a distant memory. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw their shadowy forms, felt their presence looming over her. Fear became her constant companion, a suffocating weight on her chest. One night, as Claire sat huddled on her couch, too terrified to even try to sleep, she felt a shift in the air. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows deeper. A sense of dread washed over her, so profound it took her breath away. She slowly looked up, her heart pounding in her ears. There, standing in the middle of her living room, was a figure. It was taller than she remembered, its form more defined. It was as if the darkness itself had coalesced into a sentient being. Claire's breath caught in her throat. She couldn't move, couldn't scream. She could only stare in horror as the figure glided towards her, its movements fluid and silent. The air grew heavy, charged with an unseen energy. The figure stopped just inches from her, its lack of features somehow more terrifying than any grotesque visage. She could feel its cold, empty gaze boring into her soul. Terror gripped her, paralyzing her with fear. Claire jolted awake, gasping for air. Her heart hammered in her chest, her body slick with sweat. The room was still dark, the shadows long and menacing. It had been a nightmare, she told herself. Just a vivid, terrifying nightmare. But as she looked around, a sense of unease crept over her. There, on the coffee table in front of her, lay a single black feather. It hadn't been there before. It was a chilling reminder of the encounter, a tangible piece of her nightmare brought into reality. The feather slipped from her trembling fingers as a wave of dizziness washed over her. She could still feel its cold emptiness, its presence lingering in the air. The line between dream and reality had blurred, leaving her questioning her sanity.